Hi, welcome back to Sariel and the Sword of Azathoth, the series where I use Scarlet Heroes, Mythic Game Master Emulator, and U.com to tell you an improvised RPG story loosely based on Indiana Jones, but it's an adventure story. We are already on episode 7. We begin Act 3. In this act, we'll finally go into a dungeon. It's gonna be the Lost City of Sand, which contains the Sword of Azathoth. Finally, we're approaching that. So, let me first give you a little recap of the series so far. In the first act of the series, Sariel and Marcus, a thief and her bookish assistant, were sent on a burglary by a mysterious employer. Their task was to steal a one-of-a-kind scroll from a merchant named Sam Salazar. Sariel was almost able to accomplish her goal, but she ended up picking up the wrong scrolls, and its rival, Dario, was able to get the artifact. In Act 2, Sariel and Marcus, who were escaping from the city where the first act took place, they realized they had lost the artifact, but on their way to Ruma, where they would meet with their employer for the first time, they ran into an ex-employee of Salazar who gave them an elephant statuette. Afterward, they finally met with an acolyte of their quest giver, Sir Tristan Bloodbrook. The knight told them they have been working for Lord Reginald Darkmoor, and that he is too. And while their inability to get the scroll came at a disappointment, just like Sam Salazar, Sir Tristan thinks maybe this elephant statuette has something to do with the Lost City of Sand. So, they are to meet with Sir Tristan after 4 days, where they will be awarded with half of the sum of money they were promised for completing the task. We start our first scene. We are on Chaos 6 because we lost a little bit of chaos in the last scene. I expect that Sariel and Marcus are gonna meet back with Tristan, and I'm thinking Lord Darkmoor himself will be there. So now I'm gonna roll a d10 to test my expectation and see if that's what I get. So I need to have a 7 or more to get my expected scene. Otherwise, it might be something random and it could be my next best assumption. Alright. And it's a 4. Oh boy. This is what's called an interrupt scene, which calls for rolling a random event on the random event focus table. So now I need to roll on a percentile dice. We have 32. 32 means NPC action, which means we have to go into our adventure list and randomly determine which NPC it is. So it could be Dario, it could be Sam Salazar, it could be a scene where we just see the normal everyday life of Sariel and she might be tempted to steal something. It could be Lord Reginald Darkmoor, or it could be Sir Tristan Bloodwood. I think these are all the characters we know about. There are some minor characters, but I chose not to include them because I don't think they would advance the plot that much. I'll roll a d10 to see which of these characters will do something that affects the story. And it's a 9. So it's Sir Tristan Bloodwood. So at this point I could imagine the scene myself, but I feel like I need a little bit more help, so I will go to a meaning table. I will use the actions. I need to roll a percentile dice twice to get 2 keywords, and then I will interpret those keywords. 80 plus 10, 90. The first word is take. And 30. The second word is extravagance. After their meeting with Tristan, Sariel and Marcus camp out on the periphery of Ruma for the next few days. Sariel seems relieved that the mission wasn't a total failure, but Marcus seems to be ruminating on something. I just don't understand why they would be hiding their identity to us. You get that often? He asks.
Well, what we are doing is not exactly above board, so yeah, I guess they wanted to see if we can be trustworthy.
She thinks for a second, then with a little smile she says,
Now we're incriminated in this. Plus, they got our services at a bargain. Half the money. At least it was a big sum to start with.
Since Marcus is a little bit of a know-it-all, I want to ask, does he know anything about the Darkmoors? But I think it's unlikely. 82. That is a no. Do you know anything about the Darkmoors? He asks her.
No.
She replies. They are interrupted by the sound of hooves. They look outside the tent and they see Tristan riding on a camel, holding the reins to 2 more mounts.
I know this is a little bit sooner than anticipated, but my lord wants to see you at once. We'll be riding to meet his convoy northwest of here.
I will end this first little scene here, and I will keep the Chaos stable. Now we start scene 7 on Chaos 6. I expect that Sariel and Marcus will ride up to the Lord's convoy, and they will meet Reginald Darkmoor. So I need 7 or more to get my expectation. That is a 9. So it's just as anticipated. After a few hours of brisk riding back in the direction of Al-Wadi, Sir Tristan and our protagonists arrive to Lord Darkmoor's convoy. It's made up of 7 caravans drawn by camels, and about 30 people, including a dozen men-at-arms wearing the heraldry of the Darkmoors. A red sun sinking in a black lake with a green background. As they close in on the group, Sir Tristan leads them to a carriage near the middle of the convoy.
My lord, the fixers have arrived, and I have the artifact I wrote you about.
Sariel and Marcus see the knight handing over the statuette to someone inside. After a few minutes, Sir Tristan waves them over.
I expected a scroll.
The middle-aged nobleman starts in a severe tone.
But that will do.
He continues, and his traits soften slightly.
I don't know if that fool is too thick to read or if this...
He nods at the statuette as he says that.
If this may have been what was holding him back. Either way, we should know in a few days.
Since their camels are tired from the ride, Sir Tristan, Sariel, and Marcus have to get down from the camel, and they have to walk beside the carriage. So they're now they're looking up slightly at Lord Darkmoor. The Lord points to a man sitting in one of the caravans in front of him. He's wearing robes and he's poring over some old parchments that he has propped up on a pile of crates and coffers. So he's just at the back of a supply wagon, basically.
You see Amalesh over there? I call him my astronomer. He's the one who got me on this search for the City of Sand. He's the one who told me about the scroll. When read properly, it reveals the location of the city. However, we already know its general location. It's 10 days from here to the south. This is where we are all headed.
I will have Sariel do a roll. She will try to prod Lord Darkmoor. She wants to make sure nothing fishy is happening. So if she succeeds on a charisma roll of 13, she might get some inklings of what the Lord Darkmoor's true intentions are. This won't be easy because she has -1 in charisma. So she needs a 14 on 2d8s. I have a 7 and a 1. I got a 7. So she loses her opportunity and the scene ends here. We're starting scene 8 on Chaos 6. Did Dario recruit someone able to read the scrolls? Knowing Dario, knowing that he's resourceful, it's very likely. $27 is... oh yes, my expected scene. I think it's going to be a fast forward. The convoy arrives at the location, and it's a grouping of sand dunes at the edge of the Al Badia Desert. But one of the dunes is strewn with bones. I need 7 or more to get my expected scene. Well, just barely. Now, knowing that Dario did recruit someone, is he here already? I think it's likely, but let's roll. Got a 91. Oh, that's gonna be a no. When Imelec sees the dune with the bones, he gets very excited, and he runs to Lord Darkmoor's carriage, insisting that this is the spot. He says, they talk about the legacy of Azathoth
amounting to a pile of bones, and all who shall seek for it likewise be turned to bones. Of course this part is superstition.
He reassures the Lord.
Nothing but rhetoric to dissuade people from claiming the sword for themselves.
Is Lord Darkmoor really reassured by those words? Let's ask Mythic. I think it's a 50-50 chance. So, 83. He is not reassured. Sariel and Tristan are sent to the dune to make sure everything is safe for your lord, as Reginald put it. Sariel wonders,
I hope I didn't make a mistake by accepting to follow this Darkmoor in his quest.
as you can guess, Sariel and Marcus have accepted to be part of the expedition to the City of Sand. That way, maybe they'll get their second half of the payment. Plus, it's tough to resist the call to adventure.
I have a weird feeling about this,
says Tristan, with his sword and shield at the ready. Meanwhile, Sariel has her crossbow at hand. So, the convoy is amassed before the dune, and then Sir Tristan and Sariel are sent to slowly go toward it. And they're like, okay, there's gonna be something, and there will be something. There is something there. Suddenly, a pillar of swirling sand emerges from the top of the dune. Like there's a small tornado just at the very top. A cavernous voice comes out of the sand vortex.
Here lies Azathoth, King of Kings, the unvanquished conqueror, master of 1,000 swords, son of the gods, he who sealed his own fate. Who are you to trespass upon his tomb? Begone, lest death befall thee.
Sariel looks behind her. Marcus is hiding behind a camel, looking fearful, but Lord Darkmoor only laughs.
Playing it on a bit thick, are we?
He exclaims, as if addressing the vortex itself. The men-at-arms are all brandishing weapons, but they're keeping at the distance. Tristan and Sariel have stopped in their tracks. The young knight looks back at his master, but Lord Darkmoor gestures him to keep advancing. As the man takes a few steps, the vortex dissipates as quick as it appeared. In the same spot stands a large reptilian creature covered in what looks like linen wraps. It lifts up its 6 heads and looks at the group of humans with 12 beady, sunken eyes. Marcus can't believe his sight. A hydra!